So I'm going to be talking to you today about core strength. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Freya, one of the chiropractors at Summit. So why is deep core strength so important and why does it play a role in our healing journey? Let's take a look at what makes up our core and how it can support our journey. So if we compare it to a can that we've got here, we've got the top, which is our diaphragm. We've got the bottom, which is our pelvic floor. So that's the basket of muscles at the base of your pelvis, keeping in your organs. We have your back muscles, your multifidus. We've got your side muscles, which are your transverse abdominals, which are wrapping around through the side, your sort of corset muscles. And at the front, we've got your rectus abdominals, your sort of six pack, and your deep core muscles. When we look at the importance of our core, we need a stable base to allow our arms and legs to move while controlling under pressure. Remember when you had your muscle scan, we were looking at how hard your body is working to keep you standing up. And this is before we start to move our arms and legs. A strong base is vital to preventing injuries and pain. A strong core equals a strong spine. We need all areas of our inner unit to be functioning correctly to prevent any compensation. When one area of our core is weak, we are not able to manage load under pressure. For example, when heavy lifting or while exercising. Pressure will always take the path of least resistance, and I always compare it to one of those squishy, spiky balls. I don't know if I've had a kid or if your children have them, those sort of squishy, spiky balls, and you squeeze it and the pressure pops out. If one area of our core is weak, then it will allow the pressure out, so sort of that pressure coming through. So on our scan, lots of us had a lot of red lines or pink lines where we could see that our body is working harder than it should. So those back muscles are working really hard to compensate for another area of our core not working as well as it should. So either your diaphragm out through the front of your tummy or even the pelvic floor, if they aren't functioning right, the back is going to compensate and it's going to be working extra hard to stabilize what's going on in through there. And remember, on our scan, that was looking at how hard just to stand up still. So this is before we start moving our arms and legs and doing any other exercise in there. So if we can see that the body's struggling or working harder just for standing up still, we can only imagine how hard it's needing to compensate when we start doing other activities of daily living. I want to take a look at breathing. Now let's look at our breathing pattern. Now you might be thinking, breathing, what does that have to do with the core? As we just saw, the diaphragm, which allows our lungs to fill up, so it moves down and allows our lungs to fill with air, makes up part of our core unit. So if this is not working, it will have a knock-on effect elsewhere. Breathing is one of the foundations of our body, and it has a significant effect on our core and pelvic floor. Making sure we are breathing properly is a great place to start when rehabilitating your body. I always say you wouldn't build a house on a faulty foundation, so why would we do that to our bodies? We know the diaphragm is the muscle that allows our lungs to move up and down for us to breathe, but it also plays a role in controlling pressure in our abdomen. It works in conjunction with our pelvic floor muscles. So as you breathe in, the diaphragm flattens and descends, which places pressure on your pelvic organs, resulting in your pelvic floor to stretch to accommodate for these changes. As we exhale, our diaphragm actively relaxes, and so does our pelvic floor. So they're going to be coming up and down together, and they need to be working in unison. So working together. We can compare our inner core. Unit to a tin. So this is what I was showing you earlier, a tin. So the reason we do that is because we know that a tin can be strong enough when intact that we can stand on it and it will not crush. However, if we had a dent in our tin, it would significantly impact the pressure and ability to bear load. So when we are looking at the can and the pressure in there, we now know that everything in the body will take the path of least resistance. So there can take a lot of troubleshooting and help to find the right balance in the body. We don't want anything to be too tight or too weak. and it's a nice in between to really get that stability and that strong core for you. So we now know if one area of our core in a unit is weak, it's going to have a knock-on effect elsewhere. So either that back's going to be working really hard, there could be weakness in that pelvic floor, or weakness in the front of the core, or even in that tightness in the top if we're not breathing so right, if we're not breathing correctly. So what I'd like you to do is, if you can take a big inhale for me. What did you feel? Did you feel your breath go down? Did you feel the pressure of the breath go down into your tummy? Or did you feel it come up? What could you feel moving? If you are a shallower breather and your inhale goes up into your neck and shoulders, then your exhale is going to push down. And as we know, our inner unit works as a whole. So if our pressure comes up and then down, we're going to be using our neck and shoulders rather than our diaphragm to take our breath. So we're going to be breathing like rather than from a deep belly 360 breath. So if that pressure comes up, then our pressure is going to come down, and that's going to create extra pressure on our pelvic floor, because we know our pelvic floor is going to come down and then up. And we really want these to work in unison together. So we want our breath to come down. So take a deep breath in. So a neutral breath is inhale, breath should go down, allowing your diaphragm to work and come down with your pelvic floor, and resulting in that exhale coming up. And this is going to keep that pelvic floor safe, and it's not going to apply any extra pressure onto there. So when we take a breath in, what do we want to be feeling, and what should we be looking out for? We want to breathe in, feel the pressure go down into our tummy. You might feel your tummy extend a little bit. We don't want to push the tummy all the way out, just come out a little bit, and want to feel like a 360 movement in our ribs. We want to feel our ribs move with every breath. And this is really good because it's going to help get those ribs moving. It's just going to really help with that mobility in the upper spine. We want to feel those ribs moving with every breath, and it's going to massage those muscles and organs down through there. So it's got a really good effect in through there. So we really want you to try and practice that, because that's a really great place to start. I hope that's making a lot more sense about why our core is so important, and why core strength is more than just doing crunches in the gym. We want to work on breathing pattern, and then apply that breathing pattern to exercises to stabilize the core, to help with our daily life. So I've got a few exercises to run through with you, which is going to help you on your journey. So this is the first exercise running through. So laying on your back with your knees bent, what you want to do is, you can see I've got one hand on my chest and one on my tummy. So I'm looking for that deep breath in, belly rising, relaxing through the pelvic floor and those ribs moving. And then as we're breathing out, what we want to do is we're going to engage that core and pelvic floor. So breath out, lifting through that pelvic floor. So feeling like you're holding in a wee, squeezing through that abdomen, and feel like you're pulling in those ribs, pulling them together like a corset muscle. So now you can see my hands are on my side, so I'm making sure that with every breath I can feel my ribs moving. So it's deep breath in, belly rises, ribs expand, relax through that pelvic floor. Deep breath out, pulling in through that pelvic floor, squeezing that tummy, and feel like you're squeezing in your ribs, like maybe when you're trying to do up a tight pair of jeans. This is the second exercise, so it's a progression on from that breathing. So if you're feeling comfortable with that breath, what you want to do is take a couple breaths, just check where you are, engage that core, so squeeze in through the tummy and the pelvic floor, and then bring your arms and legs up to 90. And now all I want you to do is run through that breathing exercise. So again, it's breathing in, belly rises, ribs expand. Breathing out, engaging that core, and deep breath in. So you can see I come down and come back up where it feels a little bit unstable, and then I come back up again. So we want to control under pressure, work with what's natural for you. So deep breath in, exhale, lift and wrap. And this is the further progression on to really start engaging those arms and legs. So you can see I'm starting with that breath, belly breath in, lifting and wrapping in through there, making sure my pelvis is nice and neutral and against the floor before I start to bring my arms up. So now I start to bring my legs up to 90 and my arms up. And now what you want to do is deep breath in, exhale, lift and wrap. And then as I'm exhaling, extending the arms and legs away. So then I reset my breath and do the same. So you want to be exhaling, lifting and wrapping as you move the arms away, and then inhaling as you bring the arms back together. What you want to do is work really nice and slow as you're working through those movements. You just want to stay within what's a natural progression for you. As you can see from the past two videos, at that first video I was struggling with just the breath. So it takes a bit of time and just be easy. Working slowly within your range is going to get you further than going far and shaking. Those were my top 3 recommendations for improving core strength and helping you on your rehab journey. Always just check with your chiropractor before starting, have a good conversation and see what they think and what other things they can recommend for you. But if you need any help at all, always just reach out, and I really hope that was helpful for you.